Well, I'm a little bit late today. I was busy in the middle of. I was a little bit late today. I was in the middle of eating breakfast. Um, Breakfast takes longer with a kid around. So breakfast kind of brings us to a little bit of a problem. One of the first things to get politicized in science was medical science. Medical science was one of the first things to get politicized. And one of the early things was the margarine industry. Margarine was invented in the 1920s, and they were trying. It was pretty clear right away that margarine was causing arterial plaque problems, and they wanted to keep the industry going. So they funded studies that were supposed to find what was causing arterial plaque, and and literally just came up with this idea of that they did one of these broad spectrum find a correlation by hell or high water things, where they took a bunch of people and they examined their health and their eating habits, and they found that there was a correlation between sodium and heart disease, and they made it and they promoted it as a cause link without any proper study, right? And that sodium heart disease lie has been with us ever since. And and the cholesterol came in afterwards, after they determined what was making up the arterial plaque, and blame that for the heart disease, when actually it's a response to the arterial damage. So what really happens is something damages the wall of an artery or a vein. Arteries, of course, get the fresh blood and are bringing fresh blood from the gut and from into the bloodstream. So they're the first blood vessels to see the damaging compounds. And it damages the wall of the artery. And then the body's natural response to that is to make a little plaque of cholesterol to cover it over and let it heal. And once it heals, the plaque of cholesterol dissolves away, and it goes on and it clears up. Well, when you have sodium, these complex sodium molecules used for preservatives, sodium benzoate, things like that. Benzene is really biologically active, and sodium just is just a really easily ionized metal. So what happens is it gets into your blood. In the meat, it kills the bacteria and keeps bacteria from growing, because it breaks the the cell walls of the bacteria. In your body, it also damages cell walls. And when you had a damaged cell wall, what's going to get damaged first? Well, the intestinal tract is coated with mucus, because it has to deal with First, the acidic uh, environment of the stomach, and then the basic environment of the gut. And so both are coated with mucus. And then once it absorbs into the bloodstream, though, the bloodstream's not coated with mucus, and the first things to get damaged are going to be the arteries. They're right there, and concentrations are low enough that it just ends up damaging the arteries. And then the body naturally uses the means at its disposal, cholesterol built in the liver, to coat the arterial wall and protect the artery so that it can heal. So it's the sodium benzoate preservative that is causing the arterial damage, but that arterial damage causing the high blood pressure, causing all these other things, it is not really it's not a causal relation to the sodium, but to the benzoate part of the sodium benzoate preservative. Well, they didn't, by broadening the category to all sodium, they were able to make this correlation, and by noting the cholesterol, they started saying cholesterol is the problem, and no, cholesterol is the cure, less than let your body dissolve the cholesterol better and things like that. But the cholesterol is the cure to the sodium benzoate. The benzene is the problem. The benzoate molecule or ion damaging cell walls is the problem. And the same things that cure meats and keep them from spoiling are also going to try to cure your blood vessels when they get a chance to. And so that's how this false narrative came about cholesterol. And that's a great example of how it got politicized, because the AMA was a political action body. And that's how they got to be where they are today, as the medical licensing board used by all 50 states. That's why and the government itself. They got in laws to prevent other people from serving health care needs. They got in laws to limit the number of doctors available and the number of hospitals. And that's one of the reasons we have such high healthcare costs today in America. So that's the rant for today. We've got a great example of politicized science in the AMA. And all the things promulgated by the AMA, you need to take a look and recognize that the AMA is a bought and paid for organization, and anything that they promulgate has been generally bought and paid for. And the same thing with, and what is the solution to that? Ending the government monopoly that the AMA enjoys. And then, of course, you can, actual journalism to ferret out the who paid for the science and who's buying out the people that are doing the research. So peace and joy to all of you today, and see you tomorrow. This is the engine.